Okay, welcome to Masechet Oholot, Perik Aleph, Mishnah, the beginning of Masechet Oholot, the second Masechta in Seder Taharot. Taharot is the last Seder of all the 6 Sedarim. Oholot is the second Masechta, and we're beginning Masechet Oholot. So let's first, if you're new, we'd like to dedicate our learning to memory of my father, Rav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. And if you'd like to join us and get these Mishnah out every day, you can either join the Telegram group at this link, t.me/daily Mishnah, or with a WhatsApp link, bit.ly/daily Mishnah, and you'll get this video every single day on your phone, in your feed, or whatever. A bit of introduction in order to understand Masechet Oholot. And I got most of this, pretty much all of it, from the Kahati. Okay, we're gonna actually start with understanding the levels of Tumat. So there are a bunch of different levels. The ones that are most important to us are the first 3, maybe 4 levels. Okay, the first level is called an Avi Avot HaTuma. Avi Avot, we're going to see, is a dead person. Okay, a dead person is the highest level, the lowest level of Tuma. Tuma is not a physical status, it's a spiritual status. There's a huge debate in the Rishonim. Is it just a concept, or is there some reality to it? Is this a kind of spiritual reality? I'm not here to answer that question, but anything of it, you have a dead person, a dead guy, a dead woman, that's good. The mate, that's Avi Avot HaTuma. Someone who comes in contact with, so Avi Avot HaTuma can make something else, Tameh, like it. Okay, so it could be a person or a kli, and I wrote here metal, or a metal kli that touches that person. Depends who you ask. Okay, a person or a kli or a vessel touching that person. That's Avi Avot HaTuma, while they're still touching. So I made a chart. I'm just going to try to do this sort of graphically. It's a little bit challenging to try to do it graphically. You have Avi Avot HaTuma. You have your corpse or whatever. Plus, if I have a metal kli that's black, a metal kli, a kli touching that corpse while it's touching even after it's touching the corpse, that's Avi Avot HaTuma. Chazal, the Bartunah says that Chazal said a person who, while he's touching a dead person, also has the status of Avi Avot HaTuma. Now, if a person touches that Avi Avot HaTuma, he becomes what's called an Av HaTuma, or in the language of Chazal, Tamei Shiv'ah. He's Tamei 7 days. How do I know this? So I'm going to quote for you the Psukim. The Torah says the following: Hanogea b'mei l'chol nefesh adam. If a person touches a dead person, all nefesh adam, human people, v'tamei shivat yamim. He's Tamei 7 days. That's what we call an Av HaTuma. Okay? And so we know that person is Tamei 7 days. That's Av HaTuma. Then the Av HaTuma, if he touches, if a person touches, or let's say, for example, an Av HaTuma touches a kli, okay, that kli becomes a Rishon L'Tuma. And that Rishon L'Tuma is called Tumat Erev. Kli or a person. Pretty sure it's a kli as well. So those are our 3 levels: Avi Avot HaTuma, Av HaTuma, and Rishon L'Tuma. Just before we go on, there are 3 basic ways. I mean, there are more kinds of tumah, but there are 3 basic ways to pass tumah. One is called maga, touching, right? I'm an Av HaTuma. I've touched dead people. I never got out of being tamei. By the way, it wasn't called Shivat Yamim because it's a 7-day tumah. Because how do you get out of it? Huitchata bo bayom hashlishi bayom hashvi'ita. You have to be sprinkled by. This is the korb, the para aduma. This is the Bamidbar Yutet. It's in the context of the Paraduma. On the 3rd day and the 7th day, the Kohanim would sprinkle you with the ashes of the Paraduma, and that's why it's called Tumat Shiv'ah. So we don't have Tumat Shiv'ah. We don't have the Paraduma. So I've been many times in rooms or touched dead bodies. So I'm an Av HaTuma. I touch my glass. This is now a Rishon L'Tuma. Or Tumat Ohel. If I'm in the same Ohel, that's from the word Oholot. I'm in the same structure. Okay. Or Tumat Masa. Let's say there's a dead, a piece of a bone. There's a bone in here, and I don't touch it, but I carry it. That's called Tumat Masa. Those are the 3 ways, Drachim la'avarat HaTuma, 3 ways to pass the Tuma. Finally, last part of the introduction, we're going to learn Oholot. Oholot, so this is a structure. It's an Ohel. It's a halachic status of an Ohel. It's an enclosure. It's a covering with a dead person in it. So one way of becoming an Av HaTuma, let's copy this guy, and we'll paste him. One way is for a person to be under the same enclosure. This entire enclosure is now tamei, and anyone that goes under the enclosure is considered tamei. Now, The oil also prevents tuma. So if this guy's here, he's not netame. He cannot become tame because the tuma is blocked by the ohel. If it's a halachic ohel, we'll see a bunch of that. That's one way of doing ohel. Another way of doing ohel is if the person is under the dead body. The body is ma'ahil on the person. That's number 2. And number 3 is the other way around. If the person is over the ohel, walking over. I don't know why you do that. You'd walk over the dead body. You probably shouldn't do that. This is the most common form. This is the most common form of tumat ohel, being in the same ohel, being in the same closure together. That's the most common. So those are the 3 ways. And now we can begin to study Masechet Oholot, Perak Aleph, Mishnah. Actually, the beginning Mishnayot are relatively straightforward, and they go pretty quickly after we have that brief introduction. It says the Mishnah, Shnaim Tameim B'meit, Echad Tumat Shiva, Ve'echad Tumat Tamei Tumat Erev. 2 people are Tameim B'meit. We're going to see there's a way for 2 people to become 2 things, 2 people to become Tamei Meit. From a mate, one chad tamei tumat shiva, that one of them would be tamei tumat shiva, what we called avatuma. Remember 7 days. The echad tamei tumat erev, and the other one would become tamei tumat erev. Why do we call it tumat erev? Because if you touch, I didn't read this in the psukim. We saw in the psukim the Torah says, okay, v'chol asher yigabo hatamei yitma. Someone who touches the tamei becomes tamei. V'anefesh hadoga titma ad ha'erev. That's until the erev, until the evening. Okay, that's what we call tumat erev. So there's a way for 2 people to become tamei, one avatuma and one rishon the tuma. Shlosha tameim b'meit. There's a way for 3 people to become tamei. Shnaim tameim tumat shiva. 2 will become avatuma, tumat shiva. Ve'echad tamei tumat erev, and 1 would become tumat erev. Or arba'at tameim b'meit. 4 people can become tamei met. Shlosha tameim tumat shiva. 3 can become tamei tumat shiva, avatuma. Ve'echad tamei tumat erev, and 1 will become tumat erev. We're going to learn in the next Mishnah how this works. Keitzad shnayim. How did it work that we said 2 become tamei met, 1 shiva and 1 rishon, 1 avatuma and 1 rishon? Okay, Adam anogea b'meit, a person who touches a maid, tamei tumat shiva. He becomes tumat shiva. He becomes tamei and avatuma. Adam anogea bo, and someone who touches that guy, tamei tumat erev, he becomes tamei tumat erev. Let's just go back to our little graphic, right? This is exactly what we said. A person touches tamei meit, he touches him, he becomes avatuma, and the person that touches him, he becomes a rishon the tuma. So we have shnaim tameim lemeit, 1 avatuma tumat shiva, and 1 tumat erev. Okay, that's enough for this time. We still stop here. Then we're going to get obviously much more involved. We'll stop here. I've already dedicated our learning, but let's do it again. We'll dedicate our learning to the memory of my father, Harav Simcha ben Yitzchak Kalman. Make it a great day.